Hey everybody, this is Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong, and I wanted to share something that I found probably about a year ago, and I haven't done too much with it except just to look at it and admire it. But I did want to share it with everyone because it's something that's really special. It really is. It's kind of a privilege to have such an old piece of history. On one of my hunts for ephemera, I found a really old student notebook, and it is remarkably sturdy considering how very, very old it is. It's almost 200 years old. Well, maybe I'm pushing it, but you'll see what I mean. Probably more like 175 years old. So you can see, let me see if I can show you before we get into it. Every page was covered with student text, and this text is unbelievably ornate compared to the way we write now. Most of us, including me, can't and don't even write anymore. It's kind of a lost art, but it looks like whoever had this, and it was probably passed down, went back and used it as a scrapbook. So the text was pasted over, and there's really no telling how long this was in the same family to be used like that. I'm wondering if at least a generation, like passed down to someone who was allowed to paste over something else. And, I would think that during the time frame that this book is dated as, you wouldn't waste anything. It's really interesting. There are a lot of newspaper clippings in here. There were some articles in here that were just so intriguing compared to what is written now. There are sections of poetry, and all of the headings look the same here. So I'm wondering if this came from a book, if it came from a periodical, like a newspaper. I especially wanted to show you one article in here, or it's more like a news flash. Anyway, you have married, died, and then all of these little clippings. So I think that it definitely did come from some type of news publication. There are little quips and quotes and oh, okay. I believe this is it. A fatal stabbing. Between 2 and 3 o'clock on the night of the 22nd, an affray occurred on Main Street near the post office, which has caused deep regret throughout the entire community. Henry C. Trenery was killed. Samuel Trenery, Sr., father of the deceased, badly, if not fatally wounded, and Meredith Forney, severely injured by a blow on the face with a brick. Circumstances point strongly to Robert Forney as the person who inflicted the fatal stab, which caused Henry Trenery's death, and a verdict to that effect was arrived at by the coroner's inquest held the day after the occurrence, although we believe no one testified directly to having seen the death blow struck. A knife with blood upon the hilt was identified at the inquest as the property of Robert Forney, and other evidences sufficient to warrant his commitment. It is not known who stabbed Samuel Trenery Sr. The immediate origin of the difficulty which led to such disastrous consequences was a fight between M. Forney and William Hoover. We forbear giving publication to the various and conflicting statement made by persons present, for the reason that the whole affair will be thoroughly investigated by the examining court, which convenes next Monday. At the coroner's inquest, it was said by witnesses that all the parties had been drinking freely. Robert Forney, who is now in jail, charged with the murder, is a deranged man, and was for a long time confined in the lunatic asylum at Staunton, and a few weeks since steps were taken to have him recommitted as a dangerous character. He had recently been employed with the Federal Burial Corps. The deceased had filled the office deputy sheriff under his father and was considered a prompt, efficient, and honest officer. He was likewise an active member of the Union Fire Company, the Order of Red Men and Odd Fellows, and his funeral was attended by all the fire companies, the orders to which he belonged, and the citizens generally. Oh my, just the way that's written. But here, look at this treasure. We have an original page of the text from the student. The math problems are unbelievable. The handwriting is unbelievable. We have more news clippings, and we have another page of student text. And just look at the big headers. Equation. Look how that's written. It is beautiful. More clippings. So this says barter. This says loss and gain. Look at that L. Some of the current events in here are from the 1860s. This article is about the dedication of the Stonewall Cemetery. And then I was surprised to see the name Joseph M. Smith. And I'm presuming that that's the student. This is all about math, so I don't think it's the name of any historical person. And the date at the top of the page is September 27th, 1844, which is amazing. So, 1944. So in 2044, it'll be 200 years old. And we are about 25 years off from that. So, yeah, this is about 175 years old. I've been wanting to do some things with this. Now, definitely not cut it up. That is not what I'm talking about. I want to incorporate this beautiful writing into scans and text. I know that I'm taking up a lot of time, so I'm going to just stop. I did want you to see a couple of these little drawings. Just these houses that were sketched onto the pages. I think this paper is in remarkably good condition. Again, the handwriting is amazing. I have another ledger that is not nearly as old, and it is literally crumbling. It really all needs to be scanned. But even that is kind of a treacherous prospect, because opening pages flat and placing them on the scanner, every time that happens, a few more little flakes of paper fall away. Oh yes, look at this. How long must the prop be that, being set 30 feet from a wall, will support the wall of a point 30 feet from the ground? Application of square root. These word problems are pretty amusing. Application of square root. Look at this gorgeous handwriting. All about circles, all about ellipses, and look how it's written. Of the circle, of the ellipses, of irregular polygons, of the sector. It's just amazing. I just kind of stood in awe when I found this book. It's an example of the way someone lived, the way they wrote, what they did. It's just pretty amazing. And I've used that word way too many times, so I'm going to stop. Now, what I did, at least for today, and this is complimentary to the journal. This, of course, did not come from the journal, but I have 4 journal cards with these pages that are going into the shop tonight. And these are just, I believe all of these things are in the public domain. I've been reading a lot about that and reading about copyright. I always try to give credit to the artist when I see something like this. I searched for a long time to try to read the signature on this one with the Harlequin or the Jester or what have you. I could not find. First of all, I couldn't figure the name out, and everything I punched in led to nothing. So I always put into any listing that it is my honest belief, and it is, that all of this is in the public domain. And if anybody knows otherwise, I will gladly take it down and give credit. These little paper dolls are just exquisite. They were in a stack of ephemera that I purchased that seems to be all from like around the 1910s, and I believe with that it's probably safe to assume it's in the public domain at this point. However, it can always be a gray spot, and it's just something to keep trying to figure out. Oh, look, Jason brought me this the other day. I had been looking for a crow feather, and he is the one who found one, and he brought it to me. So sweet. So there are 4 scanned pages that you can print either just on one side, or you could do front and back. And of course this means I scanned 8 of these pages to create a page that you can fold in half. These print perfectly on 8.5 by 11. Again, I leave my borders. I like them. I don't always, depending on what it is, but for something like this I do. You could cut the borders, and you may have a printer that allows you to have it bleed all the way out to the edge and not have borders. Mine won't do that. You could cut the edges. You could do it however you wanted to. These are going to be in the shop. Now I want to quickly try to share a little 2 signature journal that I did, and something else that I had a lot of fun with last night. I made my own Sari silk out of some saris that I had cut a lot of embellishments out of, and I did not want to throw away all of this beautiful silk. So it is it perfect? No. It's I think it's sturdy. It's definitely silk, and the pieces are tied together, or sewn together, I mean, as you see. But I made myself some Sari silk, and this has a little bit more of a raveling edge, which I kind of like. And I definitely plan to do more of this. I like the way it turned out. And let's see. This, I put a trim on after I put all the pieces together. I kind of liked that silvery, that fine silvery. It's like a ribbon, but I found it to be kind of weak. I bought a pack of these different trims, and there were just really delicate looking pieces of trim, and they looked like they would be really nice to tie around a journal or tie through a signature, but honestly, if you pull on them hard enough, they break. And so it ended up being perfect to just tie, I don't know why I keep saying tie, to sew onto a piece of silk like this. So this journal, I've been in the mood for something Victorian and something pretty. The outside is kind of a pink and black and darker pink tapestry type fabric. And on the front we have a piece of probably upholstery fabric that has this beautiful blue bird. I get designer fabrics that I'm really fortunate to be able to get them, and they're beautiful fabrics. They're so useful. They make the most beautiful covers and tags, tabs, pockets, everything. But getting inside of this journal, the very first page is another scan that I did that is, again, it's another 2-sided page, and I'm actually going to put that one as a free download in my Facebook group. And I believe, again, that these things are in the public domain. But yeah, I just wanted to list that for everyone. Here's one of the journal cards, and I sewed just a little piece of, that's an embellishment from an Indian garment, a sari, and I love the way that charm is on the top. Here is some lace from a wedding veil, and that was just sewn onto the top of the pocket. I don't know if I said this little charm on the front, or the plate on the front says embrace imperfection. This came from some kind of cosmetic box, if I remember correctly, and I just loved that pink and gold. So I'm just going to flip. There's a lot of writing space in here. This journal is for writing, and it is for you to embellish, and it is for me to be able to show the pages that I made today. And there's a little teacup charm. I tried to stay very British and Victorian, and just everything pretty, everything pink. Happiness adds and multiplies, and of course the other part of that is on the other side. There's a vintage dictionary page, some nice blank paper. There is one of the printables with the beautiful old text from the 1800s. This paper is really nice paper. I came across it not long ago, and I've really enjoyed using it in journals. There is some paper that I tea stained and then dyed, and I love that really pale pink. There is some scrapbook paper in here, more of my printed paper, and there's one of the journal cards that I did. That is a piece of trim from an Indian garment. And then the centerpiece is really beautiful. That came from a day book by Avon. Love this little ballerina. I just love this. She is so exquisite. She's so slender. But I cut this little fan-shaped piece of some kind of fabric. It's really metallic looking. It's soft though, and I just put an embellishment on. There's wallpaper in here. There's a wallpaper pocket. Here is a little charm with some vintage looking glasses, little reading glasses or goggles. And there is more blank paper, more stained paper. There is a little place to tuck in notes or papers. That's from a little vintage, like a little gift book with things in it about roses. Another dictionary page. So that was the thing. Happiness, was it multiplies and or adds and multiplies as we divide it with others. I like those flowers. You can just see, I'm just going to keep flipping. There's not a lot of embellishing. And here we are at the second signature. That is the other part of that scan that's going into my Facebook group. I'm not putting that in the shop. That's just a freebie page if you want it. And there's another pocket with the other little ballerina. Lots of space for you to write and embellish. There is a card catalog card, drawings by Michelangelo from the British Museum. I did just a few tabs and embellishments in this one. I wanted to really leave it for the person who gets this. I love to be able to write, and I have journals that are very, very decorated and just full of things, like my bird journal. I can just make little notes in there. That's not like a diary. It's more an observation journal and a place for me to tuck pictures in and things. This is a page from a book about Jane Austen. And then if you don't want this here, you could cut it out. There's just a little cross charm. It looks like maybe one of the little black embellishments is missing off of it, but it's just a cute little inexpensive charm. And of course you could flip it up and out of the book to hang over onto the side if you wanted to. More wallpaper and scrapbook paper and dictionary page. There's more stained paper, and that little charm says made with love. There's a book page And there we are at the very back. And there is a vintage postcard that I came across recently. Really pretty. And it's got a little bit of writing on the back. With love and best of wishes for Christmas and the New Year. And it looks like it's signed Lysella W. Withington. Look how she crossed those T's. I love to get things back to the families when I can. I've done that with photographs. So you will get a little piece of my homemade Sari silk. And that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. See you next time. Bye.